and was confused. And I asked her what happened. She said, "We've been attacked."
Yeah, I was driving from my house to work, and I heard one of the planes had hit the towers, and I'm thinking, that's awful hard. And then they said another plane has hit the towers before I got into my office. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's no accident. And I remember I went to Walmart, and this was the days before really internet was, prevalent. Yeah. I went to Walmart and bought a little TV, in order to watch the coverage in the office, while we were trying or pretending to do work that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it is something that, that it's like the older generations, they know where they were when Kennedy was shot.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. And now we're having the Biden administration give $6 billion to Iran.
On 9/11.
On 9/11.
And releasing 6 Iranian prisoners.
No, it's 5.
5.
It's 5.
5 Iranian prisoners.
Yeah, and 5 American prisoners. But, I want you to think about that. We're giving them, you're supposed to never negotiate with terrorists.
Ever.
And here we are, $6 billion. Mm-hmm. That shows you how cheap money is, by the way.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything that the Democrat Party is supposed to be doing in the laws that they're supposed to be following, and they follow none?
Well, it's that old saying, it's rules for thee, not for me.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're right.
and that's what we're sitting at. But I tell you, I sit here and I look at it, and it's almost, people out there, they ever seen the Truman Show? It's almost like we're waking up every day to the Truman Show.
You're right.
And seeing how much more ridiculous can things get? How bad can it get before we start standing up to this?
It's just blatant. I mean, they don't even hide it anymore.
No.
They used to hide it back in the day. I mean, Bush and some of the other ones. And, we're talking about Republicans. They would hide.
Absolutely.
They would hide things. They don't even hide it anymore. It's just right out there in your face. It's pitiful. Chris, where were you? 9/11. Do you remember?
Yeah, the first plane had hit as I was going into Pulaski, had hit a tower. And in the second plane, I walked into a business. Unfortunately, that business, the owner died, and it's no longer operational. And it was a hangout. It's where everybody went in, had a cup of coffee, and shot the breeze.
Sure.
And tried to solve the world's problems back then.
That's right.
But we were standing there, and we were just all, and a lot of the guys that were there that day, I'm sad to say, they're deceased. But we were in awe. And then when the second plane hit the second tower, they said, "What was that?" I said, "That is an airplane hitting that tower." So it's just sad. I think we ought to take a 15, just have a little moment of silence.
Yeah, let's do a moment of silence.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. But yeah, I tell you, it's funny. While you're talking, I'm over here trolling Kip.
I see that.
You see that? I got these pins from one of his people that ran against him, and I just figured I would sit here and just kind of mess with him a little bit. Me.
Rub him raw a little.
Shout out to Striker Steakhouse.
Yeah. I was waiting for that shout out.
If you've had something good to eat lately, it was probably at Striker's Steakhouse. They get real good
Tell
food.
a good joke or two at Strikers.
Yeah, go over to Strikers and order you something, and eat you some good food. We ate there. What's last Thursday?
Last Thursday.
Yeah.
Had a great meal, didn't
fantastic.
we? Great time, great service.
Did. Yeah, fantastic.
Apparently, my phone must have been out of order. My phone didn't ring.
We'll get you on the next one. I owe y'all two anyway, but
No, it was for somebody that's that lives here in Lawrence County that's wanting to get involved in the Republican Party.
That's
Yeah.
great.
We
I'm
got 'em
just
every day,
joshing
baby.
you. I
Oh, I
can't-
know.
Oh, of
I
course.
can't come to Lawrence County all the time.
Well, you can. I
Sure
mean,
you
we're
can.
rubbing off on you. You know, we're slowly converting him, folks. We're trying to get him over here to God's country.
That is absolutely.
You know, I want to, you know, we sit here and we talk, and a lot of people love our show is just raw. It's live, and
Yeah.
I'm getting chastised. But the people love the rawness of the show.
Yeah.
How we all three bounce off of each other very good.
We do.
But I've got to looking into a lot of things, and you want to stop and think about, the leader of the Proud Boys last week got 22 years in prison for January the 6th. And guess what? He wasn't even there.
He wasn't even there. That's right.
And
he was turned away, actually, and had been arrested like a couple of days before and was told to go home.
Right. And, you think about this. And, does this mean that we can now start imprisoning the BLM leaders, the Antifa leaders, for their actions in the summer of 2020?
No, because, again, it comes down to this. It is rules for thee and not for me.
This is utterly ridiculous. And why people need to be paying attention, and we say this time and time again, you need to get up off you do nothing. Quit leaning back on your elbows to do less, because it is directly affecting you whether you know it or not.
Absolutely is.
And your freedoms, it was like I was mentioning to a church group yesterday morning. Our freedoms are being chipped away little by little, and before you know it, we won't be able to stand around and have the freedom of open discussion or the freedom to worship. They're after every fundamental freedom that we have in our liberties.
Sure.
So you know where that eventually leads to, don't you? It leads to a guillotine and people getting their heads chopped off.
Well, they're using the Bolshevik playbook.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's so obvious to us, and I know to a lot of our listeners too. It's the communist playbook. They strike fear into the common citizen,
I'll give it to
and it's easy for them. They've got the easiest playbook in the world because they have the media that's on their side. We've even seen Fox News just absolutely crumble to the left multiple different times.
Look what they did to Tucker Carlson.
You got the Tucker situation, then he immediately goes on Twitter and makes them look foolish. His ratings are off the roof with every show that he does. But they've got the easiest playbook I've ever seen. I mean, it's no matter what they do, no matter what decision they make, no matter what Biden does, nobody cares. Other than Republicans, it's passed off. I mean, we've got a sitting president's son who has done deals with foreign governments on the taxpayer dime, and we've proven this, and we know this has happened. I'm not talking about him smoking meth and crack and everything else on Instagram. That's a whole nother can of worms that we can get into, but are they going to do anything to him?
They're not going to do anything to him.
Nothing. Can you imagine if that was Donald Trump Jr.?
No.
Good Lord.
It would be over, but here's the thing, though, and what you forget about that is you forget about the 10% for the big guy.
That's right. 10% for the big guy.
And the big guy gets his 10%.
He does, every time.
And
Talking about Big Daddy Joe.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly who we're talking about. Bringing this around, it's kind of funny. Me and you were talking about this last week, and I know you don't put it out there because you're a man.
I appreciate that.
You're not a little girl like some of the people up there in Nashville, but you've actually had death threats.
Yeah, I've had several.
I know you have.
Yeah.
And you don't put it out there. Where's your bodyguard at? I don't see a bodyguard.
No, I don't have.
You don't have a
bodyguard.
bodyguard like Justin Jones or Justin Pearson?
No.
Why not?
God, he's got us. What are you talking about?
I can't be with him every day. These guys, when we've seen them up there, they're their shadows.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm almost thinking, do they even wipe their butt even? They're on them so much.
I've seen them I've seen their bodyguards open like vehicle doors for them and like usher them into like full on servants.
So just like you do when you're dating a girl and everything, you open up the door for them.
Yeah,
and
everything. Oh yes.
Yeah, we got to see their bodyguards firsthand when we were up there. They came up in the gallery with us.
They
the
were
rock
impressive.
star celebrity of one of the Stooges.
Idiots. Yeah, I've had two. I had one during the regular session. Had an individual call my office, and Barry didn't answer, thankfully, because that would have been awful. And I didn't either. We were out of the office doing something. There's no telling during regular session. And he left like 3 different voicemails talking about how I was a Nazi that needed to be killed at a young age so that I didn't repopulate the world with my extremist agenda, and that somebody was going to get close enough in the near future to kill me.
Nice.
So that was the first one. I was like, okay, well, here we are. Got that one out of the way, I guess. And then I had another one here recently that there was a video that came up on Twitter when I was leaving the chamber during the special session. And the troopers, and y'all have seen this, the troopers make a kind of like a...
Well, it's like a power T.
Yeah, like a power T. Yeah, like you're running through the power T. That's exactly right. To get us from the chamber to the elevator or downstairs, wherever, when we're trying to leave. And it just so happened that about 3 of the troopers that were there are my constituents. I had known them I've known this one boy for a long time. He's actually one of my best friend's brothers. And then the other one, he's a great guy. I'd known him for a long time. And so when I came out, I was talking to them and you're smiling. Hey, how are you? Thank you for your service. We really appreciate y'all protecting us, whatever. And I was just having a conversation with him. So the Democrats had me, they were recording me laughing, cutting up with them. Because
right.
I'm not going to stand there and be all like, oh, thank you, Trevor. I know them. So they had put that on all their little lefty pages on Twitter. And then I got a campaign message, or I don't want to say a campaign message. I got a message on my campaign website, votecapley.com, by the way, if you want to go there. And it was somebody that said, basically, they left their name and all that, anonymous. And they said that, how could you laugh in the faces of dead children? Someone's going to get close enough to you in the near future to make sure you don't laugh anymore. And I'm like, okay, well.
Well, it's their twisted narrative.
Yeah.
How they put, as Bill O'Reilly says, they put the opine and they spin it. And that's what the true meaning of opine is.
And I'm not, if you see me and I don't, I use my Second Amendment every day. So I've told, a bunch of my colleagues and even other people, if they want it, they can come get it. I'm not scared of anybody. And if I die, I'll tell you this, if I die, I'm going to a whole lot better place than we are right now. So,
but it's kind of funny, when you talk about, we're talking about even the tragedy for 9/11.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, most, not all, okay, but most of these mass shootings and school shootings could be stopped. Very simple.
Sure.
And don't have any more gun-free zones.
We have to eliminate gun-free zones.
That is correct.
You're exactly
Whether
right.
people like it or not, these
have to.
People who have this sick, warped mind, that's what they're targeting.
Yeah.
Is gun-free zones.
Here's the thing. Here's the train of logic that they cannot combat in any way, shape, or form. No shooter is going to go to a police station. They're not going to go to a pawn shop. They're not going to go to an ammo store. They're not going to go to a gunsmith guns. Shout out Smith Guns. They're not going to go to a gun show. They're not going to go to those places. You know why? Because there's guns at these places, and people will use them.
That's right. That's right.
We even know that the shooter was going to go to Opry Mills first, and she wrote that, and I have not seen the manifesto before that can of worms gets opened up because we've had a whole bunch of, no, I've not seen it. But we know that she said, and she's a she.
That's one of the places she chose.
Right.
She was going to, that was her original target, and she went there and said,
they got armed
security. There's people that carry in there. I can't go here because I won't be able to kill enough people.
And that right there should show you a lot that goes on, because she had, what was it, 14 minutes?
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
She had
12,
14 minutes, and
Excuse me.
somebody that was trained or somebody that knows what they were doing, it would have been a lot more than 6 people that died.
Sure.
I'm just going to tell you.
And I've had a lot of people that are like, well, even if you have somebody that's armed in the school, they're not gonna. You don't know how they're gonna react. They might run and hide or whatever. They don't even have the option right now. There's no. Right now in a school, I don't care if you want to throw that argument out there. Well, they might freeze up. They might do this. They might not do anything. We're not playing with mites. We're playing a game of, and it's not really a game, but it's a logical thought process of there's not even the option there right now in the private schools before the stuff that we passed, but there's not even the option to defend them.
Kip, I got an answer for you on this might. When people say they might, will you tell them that you learned growing up in the country that might screw on a chicken's back?
That's right. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
So,
But you know what? Here's the funny thing, though. I talked to some of these Moms Demand Action and these types of people when we were up there. Curious. Actual questions, and they don't even want police officers
No.
in school.
No.
So I want you to take this to the nearest logic. If you don't even want police officers in school, who do these people call when there's a police shooting? Or not police shooting, I'm sorry, when there's a mass shooting?
well, they
Yeah.
call 911.
They call
Exactly.
the police.
Of course.
So why not already have the police
dispatch.
there?
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
And see, everything that they say, and I'm talking about the left-wing liberals, it's all hypocrisy.
It is.
Every bit of it.
Yeah. It's a
And
game to them.
It's like a double narrative.
It is.
It's like you said, Kip. It's a game.
It is a game.
It's head games.
It is.
And they, it's sad in Davidson County that it's just so liberal.
Mm-hmm.
Same in Shelby, but Shelby didn't return the money.
No.
Davidson did for the extra, and that's what, over $5 million
Yeah.
that they sent back to the state. No, we don't want them. But that's
Their
same-
virtue signal is all they're
it's
doing.
the same thing as, I'm going to pick on New York City. That mayor up there, I think his name is Eric Adams,
Yes.
where, we want to be a sanctuary city. We want to be this. We welcome everybody. But, buddy, when it got to where DeSantis and Governor DeSantis and Governor Abbott were busting them jokers up there to New York City,
Yeah.
man, they started crying the blues.
Oh,
They
yeah.
wanted
They lost
help,
their mind.
State of emergency.
Yeah, he came on the
They're
news.
not-
and
What-
said, we can't handle this.
They give a rat's butt. They
right.
could care less about Eagle Pass, Texas, or El Paso, Texas.
Come
Look
on.
what it's done
Come on.
to these folks down
exactly
there.
right.
How it's destroyed. Now they want to jump up and down about us putting the stuff in the water, the buoys, like as I call them, to keep them from crossing. That's wrong. Everything that you do to try to protect your country, and if people out there, and I don't care if I lose a friend because of it that still wants to call themselves a darn Democrat, you can't be a Democrat and a Christian in the same breath. I don't
There
care
you
who
go.
you are. And whether you like it or not, that's the truth. But at the same time, you want to hang on to this sick, warped mentality and let these things happen. Why not protect our borders? Our borders are wide open.
Wide open.
And Smoking Joe thinks, hey, let's do a little deal. And this thing was done by Blinken last week.
Yep.
Is when this trade agreement was made, and it's kept hush hush.
I thought we weren't supposed to negotiate with terrorists.
We're not. But see,
Now we're
the
just
Biden,
giving them money.
the
Are we
Biden
in harmony or
DOJ,
what?
yeah. The Biden DOJ does not consider the cartel organizations terrorists, and I don't know how they don't. I mean, they're pumping our country full of drugs at the expense of our citizens that are dying every single day. It's just wide open, and they're just cashing the checks.
All you got to do is follow the money.
That's right.
How much money is China given to the Biden administration?
Yeah, and
Plenty of it.
for the folks at home, we know this, and I talked to Congressman Mark Green, shout out Mark Green, about this. What they'll do is China will send the dope to Mexico, and then Mexico, the cartels will process the dope, package it, process it, yada, yada, yada.
And
Lace it, send it through their mules over the border because it's wide open right into the U.S. China gets a check, Mexico gets a check, and they move on. And it's happening every single day.
You know, I saw this, you know, have you guys seen the Babylon Bee?
Yeah.
So the Babylon Bee had this little spoof, and guy comes up there, and it's an obvious Hispanic guy, and he's sitting there, and he's building a wall. Mm-hmm. And he goes, "What are you doing?" And the guy says, "I'm building a wall." He goes, "Why are you building a wall?" He says, "Because when America collapses, we don't want the people coming back into Mexico."
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
So, you know, you got to laugh, you know, at it because it's either you laugh or you cry. Because I'm at a point now, it's like, how can somebody be that ignorant on purpose to not think that we have to have secure borders? Do you know of any other country that has wide open borders like that? And you know what? Here's the other thing too, and I've seen this, and it was a stat that was given. But the average person, when they retired, they get $1,400 from Social Security, but yet we're giving the illegal aliens that are coming in this country $2,200 a month.
Yeah.
That have never been in the system or anything.
What's the country below? Is Nicaragua below Mexico? Have I got my map right? Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah, El Salvador.
Okay. Well, one of them.
Panama.
Yeah. So I was watching the interview, and it was a Mexican official, and he was talking about how it was so crazy that the U.S. didn't close down their border because even Mexico has a closed border policy to the countries below it.
That's right.
Mexico. I mean, it's just, and then, you know, of course, they play the race card. They play that every opportunity that they get. Oh, well, Trump's a racist because he wanted to close the border down. He didn't want, you know, non-white individuals coming across the border, which we all know is just a hunk of baloney. I mean, that's just the craziest. that's just another one of their little games that they like to play.
You know, that was funny you say that, because that was another question that was asked. And when you mentioned that, they're like, well, you know, you're building the wall to keep everybody from coming from America over here. And he goes, yes. And he says, and Mexico's paying for it.
Well, you know, the countries, you know, right below it are Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama.
I knew there was a few down there. I couldn't get them all right in my mind.
That makes
there,
up Central America.
Yeah.
But, you know, you think about it, you know, like at the rodeo or circus, when something goes wrong, what do they send in?
The clowns.
The clowns.
Boy, we got a clown right now, don't we?
We got the clowns, you know, and we can see that everything is going wrong, and we got a bunch of clowns.
Yep. Makeup and everything on TV, too.
Well, that's true.
We see that. You know what? People, if you don't think that your news is not being made up, please come to Nashville with us and watch how the newspapers and the TVs cover what's going on. I mean, you can watch the protesters up there and the people on the left. They are texting the media.
They've got signals.
They do, and I mean, it was sickening watching this. Yeah. They know what they're going to write even before they get there that day.
That is
and
true.
It's what people don't realize too. It's kind of funny is that when the cameras cut off, they'll act like an absolute wildcat and just say the craziest things to you. I mean, they'll cuss you like a dog.
Oh, yeah.
And just say the craziest things to get you upset. And then once you get upset, then they'll click the camera back on.
Roll the cameras back on.
And it's like, well. I mean, you just kind of have to just sit there.
Well, in Nashville, that's
that's what I'm saying.
That's your
exactly
Channel 4, 5, and Channel 2.
Yes.
Now, I don't know how Fox 17 does, but you know, I didn't see much of Fox 17 up there.
What about the Tennessee Holler? You've had a lot of good exposure with them, hadn't you, Kip?
I have. Yeah, they're big fans.
Mr.
of mine.
Canoe.
Yeah, they love me to death up there. Yeah, he's a I don't know. He's got 2 or 3 DUIs. I don't think he can drive, so I don't know if he's sober half the time I see him or not. But he hates my guts. Yeah, he's one of those gotcha journalists that gets the camera,
Well, he
6
got
inches from his
introduced to
face.
both you and I during Mark Green's
He did.
first congressional race.
He did.
When he first ran.
He
for
did,
US
yeah, and
Congress.
he had forgotten who I was till I got up there and I was carrying a gun bill, and then of course he threw a camera in my face when I was carrying the bill, and he said, "Are you for these weapons of war?" And I turned around and looked at him. I said, "Who's got weapons of war?" Right. He said, "These AR-15s." I said, "Weapons of war? That ain't no weapon of war." And yada yada yada, and then of course he's one of the ones that agged on the second death threat that I talked about earlier.
Really?
Yeah, that come from his organization. They saw it off of one of his pages.
So let me ask you this. Does anything happen to these people?
No.
What would
Nothing.
happen? What would happen if somebody called in a death threat against Justin Jones or Justin Pearson?
Kamala would probably come to Nashville and swaddle him up like a baby and try to breastfeed him, I guess.
Oh, they would get Al Sharpton here.
Yeah, it would be, it would be just
Another
absolutely just, it would be wild.
But here's the thing, though. We don't give them the credit that they deserve because this is all planned.
Of course.
These people are not stupid.
It's the easiest game I've ever seen anyone play.
But look at
easy.
Chicago back in the 60s
Yep.
when you had Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and Louis Farrakhan and Jeremiah Wright. I mean, all of
And
those
then here
guys.
come Barack Obama.
Right. Yep. He grew up underneath them in their tutelage. And, there's a gentleman that listens to our show all the time, and you know him, Kip, Jerry Geho.
Yeah, shout out Jerry Geho.
And Jerry was telling me, he goes, "Lawrence, I was in Chicago when these things were going down." And he says, "I'm telling you, I promise you, what I'm seeing up in Nashville right now is the same
thing.
thing that was happening
I
in
love
Chicago."
Jerry. I love Jerry Geho.
And I'm going to tell you something.
Shout out Jerry Geho.
How safe is Chicago? Because you know what? We're one generation or less from Nashville turning into Chicago unless we do something to stop these things.
I don't know when they're going to wake up.
You didn't get to Lebanon the other day to, 1 o'clock?
About
A little before.
12 something. Yeah.
Okay. Well, when I arrived there on the scene Saturday morning about 8:40, the commie mommies were lined up outside of the Wilson County Fairgrounds protesting.
Talking about moms demand action.
The moms demand action. They were all out there, and they wanted their voices to be heard. I didn't even watch any of the news. I don't know if the news stations were out there
I'm
filming
sure they
or not,
were,
but
probably.
they'd walk across in front of you when you were turning in, and just irritating,
So
They're another fun one to deal with.
Oh yeah. You can't have a logical conversation with them, unfortunately.
No.
I tried.
They have no logic.
No.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, and here's the thing, and this is kind of the point I'm trying to make, is in order to stop this stuff, you have to take the fight to them. The best defense is a good offense.
Of course.
And we have thought for so long as Christians, as conservative Christians, that we're to be meek. But the word meek in the original word Greek does not mean to turn away from trouble or to turn away or if your brother slaps you on the right cheek, you give him the left cheek. The word meek, when you go look up the definition, actually means knowing how to bridle a horse or knowing when to unsheath the sword.
Huh.
And I'm going to tell you guys,
I didn't know that. That's good.
our Lord was meek, but did Jesus know when to unsheath the sword and take out the whip? Jesus didn't even need a sword. He used a whip even. Now, we're not Jesus, so we need a sword. But I'm telling you, the time is now that we're going to have to unsheath the sword.
Yeah.
And knowing when to do this. And it's, to me, I don't want that to happen. I want to be able to have intelligent conversations.
Sure.
And try and reason with people. You know,
Yeah.
we can have disagreements.
Of course.
I have disagreements all the time, even in my own family. But that's the reason we're always supposed to put Christ first.
Absolutely.
And if
you
we
wanna-
put Christ first, we can have reasoning at that point.
Quick plug, if you want to call in, 931-766-9393, 931-766-9393. Shout out Strikers again. But yeah, no, you're exactly right. We've got to start standing up, and it, right now there's this perception, and it's unfortunate, but we got 75 Republicans in the House, and there's this perception of, well, we'll just let them just lamb blast us, and we'll just be done and vote it down their throat and move on.
But it don't happen.
We just got to be more vocal about things as Republicans. It's not even at the state, not even at the state level. We're just moving forward. I mean, if you don't, and I'm going to say this right now, if you don't vote in this next presidential election, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear not a word from you. If you don't go vote in this next presidential election, I won't hear it. I don't want to hear a word. I don't want to hear you complain. I don't want to hear nothing. If you don't go vote, and I'm going to say it one more time, you better get your butt out and go vote.
Right.
Not only in these presidential primaries, but also these statewide primaries.
Statewide, Senate, Congress,
They're
everything.
very important.
Get your butt out and vote.
And, we've been talking about a lot of issues on a national level.
Yep.
Y'all care if I reel it in and bring
Go
it
ahead.
to the state?
Yeah.
Please, come on back.
I know that there's a lot of concern, and last week, a lot of people, a lot of good, positive comments from the show.
Yes.
I'm still concerned about this disabled Tennessee veteran being killed by the FBI. And right now, the latest and the greatest we have crickets from Bill Lee. And, it's sad. I know that nobody is saying anything in this latest report. It happened on the early morning of August 16th, so now we're 25 to 26 days deep into this.
Yeah.
And the family, as I know it, as this program is airing, still has no answers.
Yep.
And, we know the guy was battling depression and had PTSD. What was his crime? If he
We
did
don't
something
know.
wrong.
We don't know. I have no
And,
idea.
as the family, the reports are he was unarmed, okay? He was unarmed. They shot flashbangs and tear gas into his home.
Suffering
And
from PTSD.
Yeah.
That'll
And started
wake you
shooting
up
him.
on it.
And you know what happened 1 week before? It happened in the great state of Utah to another disabled man. Think about this. So, this is the most appalling, frightening thing for an American to have this to happen with our Constitution and the lack of response, and I'm going to say it, the lack of response from our own state government. I'm going to have to give Paige Wally the big shout out.
Yeah,
This
shout
article
out, yeah.
gives him a shout out.
Yeah, shout out Paige Wally.
That he's the only person that we know of that's got out in front of this. The only elected official that's got out in front of it. And it's right here in this article. And, every one of you guys in the House and the Senate, and even us on the SEC, we took a oath to protect our Constitution. And our Constitution officials swore to defend, but they're blatantly failing to protect. And it's time for everybody to wake up. And I wanted to point out to you right here is where it gives the shout out to Paige.
Mm-hmm.
And this is great. And Paige, thank you so much, because
Shout out Paige Wally.
we're glad that you're doing this. And, in the end, I'm going to say, where's Bill Lee, our governor?
He's
Whose
right
state
here.
was raided by the feds and a citizen was murdered.
He's running around looking for red flags, I think, right now.
So, this is.
You can laugh, Kip. I know you're sitting there. You're trying your best not to laugh at that
But
one.
another thing is I brought up last week. This is not the first time that the FBI has come into the great state of Tennessee and come on Tennessee turf. It happened on March the 5th of 2021. There was a peaceful 11 pro-lifers that were peacefully protesting in Mount Juliet.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes the FBI in to arrest these 11 folks. And that, like I said, not all of them were Tennesseans, but 7 have been charged with conspiracy against rights secured by the FACE Act. Y'all know what the FACE Act is?
No.
Educate us.
Freedom of access to clinic entrances. They did not enter the clinic. They stood outside and peacefully prayed that maybe somebody would listen and a child's life would be saved for standing on a sidewalk and praying. This is the freedom of access to clinic entrances. They didn't do nothing to obstruct that entrance. They didn't harass nobody. They didn't get physical with nobody. There's nothing from the Wilson County Sheriff's Department or the Mount Juliet Police Department of anything. And yet, here they came, and because these people were peacefully doing their protest, which, by the way, is protected in what?
In our Constitution.
Correct.
So, these things just continue, and this is, Bill Lee, it says right on the front, the governor's office also refused to say whether Lee's plans on are doing anything to protect the rights of targeted Tennessean pro-lifers.
But you know what? We saw this happen back in between 2009 to 2016 in the Obama administration with what they did with the Tea Party. I mean, this is nothing new. This is the playbook. The problem is it's getting more and more prevalent, and it's getting more and more, for the lack of a better word,
bolder.
Physical. Bolder.
They're getting bolder.
They're getting a lot more bolder. And I tell you, I have I got a good friend of mine. He's listening right now, and his name is Kit McConnell. And Kit, he kind of took me underneath his wing when I moved here, and he's done a lot for me, especially after my dad's died. He's kind of filled that area. But Kit says that the American male has been neutered because anything that is what men used to be, how they used to stand up to these things, they're looked upon as being toxic masculinity. So anytime you have a disagreement and you're a man, you're toxic male. And so many people are believing that lie. And we are not standing up for these things, and these are why these are happening, is because nobody's standing up to it.
You're exactly right.
Brandon Taylor, and shout out to Brandon.
Shout out Brandon Taylor.
He said in here one day when we were on the Lawrence County Republican show.
Wednesdays at 5.
He was talking about the problem started in the church house.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Which,
Of course it does.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to tell this to everybody in your area in Hardin County that may be listening, Wayne County, Lawrence County, and the half of Murray you represent. I'm also going to include Giles, Marshall, part of Williamson that we have, and Lewis. Every citizen out there that's listening that has children or grandchildren in our public school system, you need to be involved. Mm-hmm. You need to be going to these school board meetings because there's things going on right here under our noses as we sit here and speak.
Yep.
There's things being sent to people, and I am appalled at what's going on in these schoolhouses. Even after the laws you guys pass, it's sort of like they,
thumb their nose. Well, you have judges that are not there to uphold the law, they're making their own law from the bench. They are legislating from the benches,
And that's totally wrong.
it is totally wrong. And we had a bill that was going to stop a lot of these things, and that bill has been held up in the court.
Hey, I just thought of something.
Yeah.
Light bulb.
Are we not innocent until proven guilty?
Supposed to be.
That's except if you're a Republican.
That's right.
Think about it. The way our judicial system is supposed to work, we're innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
It seems like except. There's an except if you're a Republican.
Well, there's
or a
different.
conservative.
We play by a different set of rules. We have to. The left plays on emotions and lies. Republicans can't. Well, conservatives can't do that. We can't play on emotions and lies. Our playbook has to come from facts and reality. That's a much more difficult playbook to use because we have to combat emotions and things that get people riled up and things that you believe because you saw it on TV or Twitter or wherever else. They're just flat out lies, like I said earlier, like these weapons of war, that whole misnomer. An AR-15 is not a weapon of war. You would get smacked in 10 seconds if you went overseas with an AR-15.
Less than that, probably.
Yeah. I mean, that's not even close to a weapon of war, but we've let the media and the left and the stuff that we always talk about, they twist the narrative. And even people, I've had Republicans, well, I don't know why you need one of them AR-15s anyway.
It's your right.
Exactly. Maybe I need it because I want it. That's in my Constitution. I think you should be able to drive a tank if you can afford it.
You darn straight, or a Apache helicopter.
Yeah, if you can afford that sucker. And I brought it up in committee. One of these Democrats from Shelby County was like, well, you can just stroll into Walmart and get an automatic AR-15 and roll out of there the same day. What?
They're idiots.
Huh?
No,
you cannot.
Yeah, but what did
golly.
I can imagine which one said it.
What did Hitler's right-hand man say, Joseph Goebbels? He said, if you tell a lie, a big enough lie, long enough, people will believe it.
That's right.
And that's what these people are doing. It's kind of funny. Do you ever notice how the Democrats will project on to conservative Republicans what they're doing? I can't tell you how many times up there I was called a fascist or a communist when I'm up there, and I'm like, how can you call me a fascist or a communist when I'm up here about upholding our rights, not trying to take away our constitutional rights?
They were nice to you. They were cussing me.
I mean, I've been called a baby killer more times, and it's funny. It's funny to me how I'm called a baby killer, but they're okay with the millions of children that are killed through abortion.
Right.
So I'm a baby killer because I want to protect the Constitution and our rights and, kind of the way things are supposed to be.
But the thing is, here's the thing.
They're all right with murdering children.
I would have a conversation with them if they would say, okay, let's have police in our schools. If we're going to have gun-free zones, then how many mass shootings do you see at a courthouse? And I know of no courthouses that allow you to bring in guns.
I carried a bill for that.
But well,
it didn't go too well. We're going to try that again. But
we'll try. You need to try that again. But you know what? Here's the thing, though. We're at least feel halfway safe, and the reason why is because we have police there inside the courthouse.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, it's the same thing we say about the church houses.
Yeah.
They were a soft target for a while until people were packing.
Yeah.
And by George once out in Texas.
Yes.
Where they unloaded and they just took him out quick.
Right.
I think he killed one person. Yeah,
he did.
But he could have killed multiple.
It was a deacon or something, wasn't it?
A preacher, wasn't it? Preacher, deacon, or elder. One, leader in the church. Yeah. But anyway, the thing is, that once they learn that, hey, this is no longer a gun-free zone, they steer away and they're targeting everywhere that is gun-free.
Yeah.
And Lawrence, I agree with you. the heck with going in any of these places that won't let you carry.
That's right.
I'm not giving them my money. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I tell you what, I used to love to go to Whole Foods, even though I seen a lot of people that probably didn't agree with me politically.
Different color hair in there, probably.
Well, and everything else, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
Hey, my light just went off again.
Uh-oh, light bulb.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Here we go.
Did you pull my chain?
Ding.
But the thing about it is, up there in Wilson County,
Yeah.
guess where Cracker Barrel was founded?
in Lebanon, yeah.
Okay. Did you notice they had a big trophy case about all the founding of Cracker Barrel and everything up
Yeah,
there
up
Saturday?
there, yeah.
Okay. I didn't see the Rainbow Rocker.
I didn't either.
I was looking, I said, listen, and this lady said, what do you mean by the Rainbow Rocker? And I said, are you not aware about Cracker Barrel? And they're just like Bud Light when they put that man on the can as a woman, you know. And I said, then everybody started coming out, including Cracker Barrel. But Cracker Barrel had came out like in 2018.
Yeah.
My shadow hadn't darkened the door since President Trump's rally in Municipal Auditorium in Nashville. And,
That was awesome. I was there.
Yeah, we froze our butts off
Yes,
that day.
yes, sir.
But anyway, long story short, that was the last time I ate at Cracker Barrel. And that next year they were the premier sponsor of the Nashville. Back then it was called the Nashville Gay and Lesbian Pride Day Parade.
Yeah.
And they were the premier sponsor. And I said, I will never spend another dollar. So everybody who is in the Christian faith out there, don't spend your dollars at Cracker Barrel. Visit Strikers.
That's right.
Mom and pop shop. You know, come on now. Let's don't drive all the way to Columbia to go to to Cracker Barrel or Florence or Athens. Let's go to Strikers.
Let's go to
That was
Strikers.
a hell of an introduction to
That
Strikers.
was,
I was
wasn't it?
not expecting that at all.
Well, listen, always.
Shout out Strikers.
Only thing I'm going to tell you, Kip, with me, always expect the unexpected.
You know, it was kind of
Sorry.
funny. You know, you're talking about this, and my girls used to love to go to Cracker Barrel, but when I haven't gone into Cracker Barrel since you opened my eyes to this. You know, I didn't know anything about it. But, you know, the thing is if you're going to go woke, you're going to go broke. And
You love my slogan that I put on the billboards.
yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So, and that's true. It's really impacted Target. It's really impacted Cracker Barrel. It's really smacked Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch.
You're right.
And a lot of people, what's so funny with people is, you know, you got to give them a little bit of education. You got to put something in their bucket. A lot of people say, well, I'm still going to drink my Natty Light, and they don't realize that's still Anheuser-Busch or Michelob Ultra.
I tell you one I didn't realize because you know I'm not a big beer drinker or anything like that, but I had a guy was telling me the other day, Yingling actually has a program that they do, and I don't know the specifics of it. I'll look it up and bring it in next week. But they have a program where a good piece of their money that they bring in from alcohol sales goes directly to veterans.
Yeah,
And I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't either.
That's true. And
I didn't know that.
Yingling, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a expert on.
I don't drink, period.
Yeah.
So
I'm not an expert at all. I'm as dumb as a rock when it comes to this, but I think that's the oldest brewery
Could be.
in the United States.
Could be.
I really
I don't
think
know.
it is.
But that's a yeah.
You know, you get to thinking about that, and there's other things that donate to Wounded Warriors. And
But
a
these
lot
are
of good
places
causes.
we need to look at and we need to be
We
supported.
need
Sure,
to- we
of
need to be
course.
shouting it from the
Absolutely.
rooftops.
We do.
Absolutely.
I had, and maybe next week I'll bring it on. I had a list of different corporations that were friendly to Christians.
Yeah, we need that.
Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
And
Hobby Lobby.
I will
That's
get
a good
that.
one.
But
Yeah.
I saw something this weekend. Guy was carrying around a beer koozie, and on the beer koozie it said "Not Bud Light." So I saw that and I'm like, that's pretty good. Not Bud Light, but we've got to do that. We've got to take our money and we've got to put our money where our mouth is.
Yeah, and we've seen how powerful it is. I mean, look at what happened to Target.
Oh, Target lost what, $6 billion in
bunch of
like a
money.
month?
I mean,
They
it's
were
crazy.
the granddaddy of the same-sex bathroom, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
they were the
I
granddaddy.
have not.
Yeah.
I do not go to Target, and it's been probably 5 or 6 years that I stopped going to Target because of that very situation. And I tell you, not only am I protesting that, but I'm going to tell you something. It's going to be a bad day for me and that man that walks into a women's bathroom and my girls or my
With your
wife's in there.
12-year-old
It's going to be
girl
a
twins.
bad day.
Yep, as it should be.
I mean, well, no,
Real
it's going to be a
bad.
bad day for me because I'll probably get arrested.
Oh, well.
and everything else.
No,
Well, you got
should
a lot
be
of good
not that,
friends
but yeah.
that's going to come get you.
Yeah, we can find some bail money. That would
We'll
be
take care
hard
of
for
it.
sure.
Yeah, but I mean that's one of the reasons I stay out of that because 12-year-old girls, they got a little bitty bladder, so they got to go to the bathroom just about everywhere they go. They're as bad as
There's
Brandon.
a few, yeah,
I'm about to
I
say,
knew that was coming.
Brandon's got to go to the bathroom every place we go. Brandon, if I'm
Lord
riding with
have
Brandon,
mercy.
if I'm riding with Brandon and there's a gas station, we got to stop at that gas station and visit it.
What are we doing?
I guess we're
I love it.
starting to talk about marking your territory.
I love it.
That's what it.
I love it.
That's what it's all about.
Lord.
It's we always talk about this, and man, this hour.
It's
just-
already gone. We got 4 minutes left.
There's love to have anybody to call in. We got a minute or two to talk to you. Shout out to Strikers.
Shout out
again.
to Striker Steakhouse.
But the thing about it is, a lot of people are very appreciative of what's being done. They're very appreciative. Shout out to WDXE.
Shout out WDXE.
And,
That's right.
they're very appreciative of all this information. There are a lot of people saying, well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that happened. I didn't know this happened in
County.
In Chester County, but also they didn't know what went on in Mount Juliet. And people miss it. And they're learning this from
Information is coming out so fast, we can't keep up.
The
with it.
days-
There's so many things coming out every day. Now, I want to tell you one quick thing. Y'all need to Google Rand Paul and watch a video from him on September the 7th.
Okay.
Just recently in the Senate. Did an excellent job, as he always does. He's a true statesman. And, trying to mandate all this stuff with COVID again. And he's fighting it for the pages. A lot of people don't understand what a page is. People who run their bills and run stuff back to their offices and to them on the floor, and about all these shots and everything they're going to be mandated. And he's trying to get a bill passed to stop all this mess.
And we ain't doing it in Tennessee. I'm just here to tell you. We ain't doing
We're
it.
not, but the federal government's going to do. Biden's already said we've come out with a new vaccine, and everybody will be taking this
Whether
vaccine.
Good
you
luck.
took the old one or not,
Does not
everybody-
matter.
Good luck.
Well, I got something for you. Come on, Joe.
I'm just
Good luck.
telling you, and I really do want to give WDXE a little bit more credit than what they deserve, or more than they deserve.
Oh, my Lord.
Whoop.
You
You
it's
got
just,
that mean eye.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
But I had somebody ask me this weekend. I ran into somebody I know that listens to our program far away. And they're like, I'm amazed that you can say the things that you do. Do you not get in trouble at the radio station with any of this? Did they not censor you? And I go, absolutely not. And I said, the owner a lot of times is right in here with us. I said, if you watch and you'll see the producer, I said, that's the owner. I said, she's never said a word to me about what I've said.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, we don't have freedom of speech much anymore, especially with the liberal media, but we have freedom of speech here, and I just want everybody to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, go to votecapley.com. If you're not following me on Facebook, see the show, see all the stuff we got going on. Kip Capley for State Representative. We want to give one last shout out to Strikers. They got good food, man.
One other thing I want to say, our good friend John DeBerry
Yep.
is
Shout out
also
John
a Church of Christ minister, is holding a gospel meeting at Fairview Church of Christ in Pulaski.
Fairview Church of Christ,
Starts at 7
Pulaski.
p.m. So
What time?
I know
Tonight?
Tonight.
7 p.m.
I'm headed over there at 7 p.m. to be there with Brother John.
Love y'all. Thank you so much.
Have a good day, guys.
Next week.
287 AA and W237 FD Lawrenceburg. Broadcast services of Prospect Communications.